Seller Finance. What's going on, future billionaires? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about seller finance, which is my favorite. Before we get started, my name is Sir Derek Phantom. I'm a financier and a deal maker. I raise capital for companies and I negotiate business and real estate M&A deals. Seller finance, what is it? It is, outside of my favorite of the whole creative finance realm, and it is simply you buying something or selling something on payments. Simple as that. You become the bank.
I walk to the money.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? Money on my watch. Time is money. Money on my phone. I talk to the money. Money on my chain. The money hang with me.
Well, actually, now with all that said, that's it. That's the video, folks. Could be the end of the video right here. But all jokes aside, seller finance is probably the easiest, but also the most underutilized or most really misunderstood part of creative finance. And the reason for that is that most people are so used to the traditional way of doing things, meaning, I go to a lender and I get funding for something, whether it's buying a house or buying a car or furniture or technology, whatever it is. Most people are just so conditioned in the traditional way, the traditional finance system. The thing people don't understand is that anyone can become the bank for anything that they own and that they're trying to sell that they own outright, or at least mostly outright. Because to be honest, even if you owe something on a property or a car, you could seller finance it. And I'll say this, one of the major reasons why people do not use seller finance is because, or at least sellers do not sell on finance, is because either they are not in a financial situation to do so, because if they're selling something, that means they need the cash up front. So a lot of times seller finance doesn't work in, I would say, about 50% of the cases if someone has something that's free and clear, because they're only really selling because they need the cash to do something else. But in the other 50% of the time, no, people can actually use it, but then there's that fear that comes in where what if the person doesn't pay? What if the person walks away or steals my item or my property that I sold them? In most of the situations where I've been brought in to discuss and negotiate creative finance options, most of the time it's just the fear that people have towards, is this person really going to pay? Am I just giving my stuff away? And the benefits of being the bank are probably the same as the negatives of being the bank. Yes, banks lose out on money all the time, but also at the same time, they make the most money. They're taking calculated risks. But a lot of people just let that fear hold them back. And most of the time, what they don't realize, that fear is coming from that they do not realize that they have the same remedies that banks have, meaning they can foreclose on someone, they can repossess the property or car, because a lot of times the seller finance, it's a lot of people talk about it for cars. They can put it on their credit. They can do a bunch of different things. They can sue them. There is a myriad of different things that you can do as the lender, as the bank. So most people let that fear hold them back for doing something that could honestly make them a lot of money. So let me give you an example of selling something using seller finance. So I had a friend who lives in Chicago. Now he has a 2019 car, or maybe it was 18. He bought it in 2019. Not sure what it was, but he wanted to sell his car because he has a new job, starting a family, things like that, and they are getting a bigger car. So he had this small car, very nice car, by the way, and he wanted to sell it. He was like, I want to sell it for $20,000. But he posted it on Craigslist and I think somewhere else, and I think everyone was trying to lowball him to like $15,000. So when I was just randomly talking to him, he brought up the fact that he's looking to sell his car and do I have any ideas? I'm like, just seller finance it. He told me what he needed the money for. And I realized, you don't need all that money up front. So just sell it on payments. And for him, he told me that, everyone keeps lowballing him. So I'm like, okay, no. If you sell it on payments, you can get exactly what you want. So I told him, okay, well, go on Craigslist and go on Facebook and post it there. And I told him to say that he's selling 2018 or 19 car, whatever it is. Somebody's selling it for $25,000. Seller finance, 0% interest. I'm like, if you do that, it's going to be going super quick, or at least you'll get a lot of inquiries, and people won't talk you down as much because you're selling it to them on payments. And people understand, like, okay, cool. If I'm buying something on payments, it's not like I'm coming out of pocket cash. So if I'm buying on payments, that's perfectly fine because people understand they're going to be paying interest anyway. So what he ended up doing was he ended up posting it for $28,000. Someone came in, they kind of talked him down to $25,000. So it ended up working out for him anyway. But I also told him that, hey, what you need to do is you need to charge them $1,000 down. Now that $1,000 is, some of it's going to go, of course, some of it's going to go to HIP National, but then you're going to use that in order to buy 2 or 3 trackers on the car. You're also going to use some of that money to record the transaction, to record the seller finance note. And then you're going to save some of that money for in case you need to repossess the car. Now, of course, your goal isn't to repossess the car. That's not what you want to do. But you also want to make sure that you have the remedies in order to, or at least the tools in place in order for you to repossess the car in case you have to. And I also told them there are a lot of scams out there. So to differentiate yourself, you should make a video recording yourself. You're like, hey, I'm the owner of the car. Tell your story about why you want to sell the car, why you need to sell the car, everything, and why you're selling it on payments. And then ask them for the $1,000 down and explain to them the terms of the agreement. So we came up with, if you're late on payments, we're going to charge you $30 extra. If you miss 2 payments in a row, of course, then we will repossess your car. But also, if you get into a financial situation where you cannot afford to pay for the car anymore, then you can give back the car. You can just give back the car and we won't put it on your credit or anything like that. So he did that, and you know what? He got 17 or 18 inquiries within 2 hours because of course, him posting like, oh, this car, he had a bunch of really nice pictures. It's $25,000. It's on payments. It's for 5 years because he did it for 5 years. So it's $1,000 down, and there's gonna be $383 or $84 a month moving forward. And if anything was to happen and you can't afford to pay, you can always just get the car back, and you get to see the person. So he was able to sell the car within 8 days. It would have been 4 days, but then the storm ended up happening, so he couldn't meet up with the person and everything. But regardless of what, he used seller financing to sell his car and get more money. And then also, in case anything was ever happen, because as we know, people's economic situations change, then he could possibly even get the car back. I've had a couple clients where they've done this, where they've sold properties or they've sold cars or other items on seller financing, but also giving people an out, and they've been able to get the property back. So funny, because there was this client that I had in Louisiana where he has sold. Now this is before me, everything. So he had this one warehouse where he had been selling this warehouse on payments. He sold that warehouse 4 different times, but he always gave people an out, a way to, walk away from the property and stuff like that, and then not affect them. So he did that. He started it in the 80s. I think it was like 85 or 86, 20-year note on it. The people, their business failed. He ended up selling it again. And then during the .com bubble, where a client, I think it might have been Toys R Us. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. But it was a big company that he ended up selling it on payments. The company ended up closing down because once the .com bubble happened, nobody was buying whatever it is that this company was selling. He ended up selling it again, and the same thing ended up happening. And then the last time he sold it, this company, they're like a fulfillment. They're like one of those companies that do like they're like Teespring. They're like a version of Teespring. Well, this time, instead of that, he ended up converting the rest of his seller note into equity into the business. And now that business is blown up, and now the value that he's gotten from that one particular warehouse that he sold on seller finance has generated him, I think, well over $30 million. Like in actual value and wealth over the years. So I tell that story to give an example of why you should look into seller financing and learn about it and actually use it. Just use it. Just give it a try and make sure, of course, you've set yourself up to where you can succeed and you have remedies there in order to recoup your cash or get back your property. But I mean, for the most part, it is a very simple but very, very powerful tool to use to generate wealth. So with all that being said, I just want to wrap the video by saying thank you so much for watching the video all the way to the end. If you liked it, please like the video. If you like me and what we're doing here, please subscribe and hit that noti bell. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.